Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obuchand. Thanks a lot for joining us. Want to start as I always do. Hope you guys are still keeping safe out there. There seems to be a belief that the pandemic is over. No, it's not. I think it's still very important that we follow all the rules. A lot of us have thrown caution to the wind. A lot of people are still dying and being hospitalized with critical, ailments. Please socially distance if you can. Don't go out if you don't have to. Wear a mask if you have to be out there. Wash your hands, sanitize. It's still very important. If not for you, at least for those around you, and so that we can hopefully beat this. There's talk about vaccines coming in. Hopefully, I think sometime on Tuesday or Wednesday, the first batch of the COVAX vaccines should be hitting Nigeria sometime next week. So hopefully that's the beginning of the end of all of this that we've been through as a nation. And so let's just continue to do our part. Speaking about the nation, the economy has been under focus, probably just a little less than the security or the lack of it has been in the last couple of weeks. And we are finally out of recession. And that's even if it was just a 0.11% GDP growth. We're wondering how things will be shaping up for us in the coming days, weeks, and months, and years ahead, especially with what COVID-19 has done to the economy, battered a lot of sectors in our economy, and how our recovery plans are going to work. So we're going to be starting our conversation today with the economy. I'm joined now by David Adonri, who's joining us via Skype, I believe. David, if you can hear me, how are you doing?
Yes, I can, Ebuka. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being with you.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us. I want to go straight into it. We're out of a recession officially, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, 0.11 growth we witnessed in the fourth quarter of last year. Looking at 2021 and looking at the budgets that Mr. President has proposed, how are you feeling about, what this year will look like? Any different from last year? I mean, the pandemic is still with us, especially because of that.
Of course, this year is going to be different from last year for several reasons. And even international financial bodies have come up with their forecast that this year the Nigerian economy is likely to grow by up to about 2 or 3% as a result of several factors. First and foremost, the measures being taken against the pandemic are all on course, especially the global vaccination is on course. And then we also have the crude oil market that has picked up. That is another positive attribute of what is happening in the global economy now that will rub off positively on the Nigerian economy. So from those two perspectives, we are sure that this year, 2021, is going to be different from 2020, save for the worsening insecurity, especially.
Okay. David Adonri, I don't know if you can hear me. I think we lost you there. I think we'll probably reconnect at a later time if we can connect, because I wanted to ask more questions about, yes, the recession seems to be over, but just yesterday we heard from the Central Bank of Nigeria talking about the fact that officially the dollar to the Naira rate has been pegged at 417 Naira, I believe. Inflation is still going up. So the average person on the street doesn't seem to be feeling, that things might be looking up, and the cost of living is extremely, extremely high. And we'll come back to that and hopefully continue the conversation if we can get a connection at some point. Okay. David, can you hear me? I believe you're back with us.
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question, because you are talking about the fact that this year is going to be a little different. But we just heard the Central Bank governor talk about, adjusting the Naira finally going over 400 Naira to the dollar. The inflation rate is not any better. The cost of living generally. So the average person, yes, all of this, the statistics and the economics of all of this might be looking a little positive, but for a lot of Nigerians, they don't seem to feel any of this. Things are really, really bad for everybody.
Yes, Ebuka, this is what analysts call jobless growth. But this time around, we have an inflationary growth of the economy. And generally, for an economy to be meaningful and positive for the citizens, it has to be non-inflationary growth. Because we may actually as well regard this growth as having been propelled by nothing else other than inflation. Inflation has actually been with us for quite some time, since August 1999. The economy of Nigeria has steadily been experiencing inflation, and it peaked last month at 16.47%. And so what we've had in the recent past is not just a recession, but it's a combination of recession and galloping inflation, what is referred to as stagflation, a very deadly kind of economic crisis. And so while we have exited recession as a result of some measures that were taken by the macroeconomic authorities, especially the fiscal measures taken in terms of the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, and then also the expansionary monetary policy the central bank embarked upon. Those were factors that took the economy out of recession. But again, the expanded money supply in the economy as to provoking or exacerbating the inflation that had plagued the economy since 2019. And so where we are now is still not comfortable, because we have dealt with a recession, but inflation is still galloping, And the funny thing, anyway, well, perhaps it's a coincidence. The last recession we had in 2016, it took us more than a year, and it was a lower recession of a contraction of 1.73%. It took Nigeria over a year to exit that recession. But now we have exited a recession of over 6% contraction, and it has happened within 6 months. So it's quite magical. Also in 2016, the recession was also a stagflation. It came with serious inflation. In fact, at the end of 2017, inflation had galloped to about 18%. But now we are still dealing with 16.47%. And if the expansionary monetary policy continues, then it's likely that inflation may not be abated. And so we are still faced with a very serious economic handicap, which is inflation. And the funny thing is that some of the measures that have been taken, like the expansionary monetary policy to combat the recession, can also provoke inflation. We have actually seen the symptoms presenting itself by way of increase in the demand for equities. We have also seen the impact of the expansionary monetary policy on foreign exchange, exacerbating or rather reducing the value of the naira. And so, but the expansionary monetary policy is not sustainable. Along the line, the monetary authority may need to come in to deal with the excessive money supply, which is beyond what the economy can accommodate now, in order to deal with inflation. But dealing with inflation again is like a double-edged sword. It can take the economy back into recession, So the economy is actually at a dire situation as we speak now.
I completely agree with you, and I think every Nigerian would also agree with you, because we can feel it, and we can feel that things are really, really bad at this point. But let's just end maybe hopefully on a positive note, because the last time the GDP was rebased, like we were told at the time, the entertainment sector became a huge factor. There's a lot of new economies that are unfolding across the country, especially in tech and some parts of entertainment as well. What sectors are you looking at that might drive, the growth for the economy this year?
I believe, just like you have mentioned, the telecoms sector was resilient during the pandemic, The banking sector was also resilient, and perhaps the tech sector can positively impact the economy. But the major challenge actually is the rural economy, which is in very serious crisis due to increasing insecurity. And the rural economy, that is agriculture and solid minerals, ought to contribute a lot to this recovery. But the good thing is that the petroleum sector is also contributing very well. So if the petroleum sector combines with those sectors that you mentioned, telecoms and tech, perhaps we can see a sustained growth that can bring down inflation on the long run.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Hopefully we can get you back sometime in the future and talk more positively. We're looking forward to a better 2021 than 2020. I say this every time. Nothing should be as bad as 2020 was for Nigeria. So hopefully this will be the beginning of hopefully, better things for us. Thanks a lot, sir, for joining us.
It's a great pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Right. We're going to continue this conversation right after this quick break, talking about, some of these new sectors in Nigeria that are starting to shine a light and hopefully drive the economy. Please don't go away.
Teaching my friends Nigerian slangs. Box 5. Read. Say, why you dey vex?
Why you the vex?
Okay, that's not bad. Why you following me? Why you dey vex?
Why you the vex?
Hey, Billy, say, why you dey vex?
Why you the vex?
Oh my God! Oh no! This one's my brother.
All right, yes, welcome back. Yeah, that's a video from TikTok. If you've been living under the rock, then maybe you've never heard of that term. But yeah, it's a social media app that's gone crazy, gone wild, especially with the lockdown and the pandemics from last year. And yes, social media has become a huge factor and a huge topic of conversation across governments. And so if you're talking about the economy, you have to sort of factor it in. And I have here with me a TikTok sensation, Nigerian Drea Knows Best is her name on TikTok. You have 5.3 million followers on TikTok. That's more than some countries' populations.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build that, first of all?
Honestly, just took me one day. I'm just kidding. No, it took me a while. Lots of hard work, consistency. I saw the video you played. Making people laugh. And gradually, just people come into my page.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for content creation for like 7 years now. So I'm not.
When did you get on TikTok?
I got on TikTok when it became TikTok, so like a year and a half ago. 2 years now. 2 years now.
And you have 5.3 million followers. Most times you find people with that many followers on social media. They're either celebrities or people in government or politics. What did you think you did that made you garner that sort of a following? Because these questions are important for me because a lot of people who want to, probably follow your footsteps and be like you. What did you do differently, you think?
I think what I did differently was I was just being myself. That's the most important thing right now as a content creator. I feel like when people are trying to become content creators, they want to do what everyone else is doing. But literally just being your authentic self is enough. I always say, like, people come to your page because of your content, but they stay because of who you are. And a big part of my content is my Nigerian culture, because I love Nigeria. I love the food. I love the slangs and everything. Even though I was raised abroad, my parents always brought us back home. And I love the idea of me, like you saw the video. One of the girls was Asian, one of them was Chinese, one of them was a white guy, and they're learning Nigerian slangs. I mean, the opportunity to be able to amplify culture is like the big deal. So I think what I did differently was definitely just being myself and splashing my culture in there, so people are just like, I want to learn more. I want to laugh sometimes. I want to
Yeah, I like the fact that you talked about content creation there, because content creation or being a content creator is a job now.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they still don't get it. People don't even take content creators seriously sometimes. So what do? You just play around on the internet. Is what they say. And going from the conversation I was having earlier, because the economy, we're so used to the traditional ways of making money, oil and gas, banking, and all of that. You are in this new space. Is it something that's worth your while? Talking about, earning you a living and, getting you by as a job.
Yeah. So I'm happy that people are finally starting to realize that being a content creator is not just playing around with your phone. It's a lot of being consistent, creating every single day. But I think the best part about it is that these brands are starting to realize that no one is watching TV anymore. Everyone is on their phone. Even
but they are watching Rubbin Minds.
You better watch Rubbin Minds, yes.
Yes. Well, exactly. I get you, yes.
Everyone is on their phone scrolling, so we need to get our products on people's pages so people can buy our product. So product placement is one of the big parts that it plays in place for content creators like myself to make money. So I work with brands like Coca-Cola, Netflix, Google, McDonald's, the list goes on. And essentially, I'm so grateful for that opportunity because it's like, I literally tell my fans, because again, my fans are like my friends. If I tell them this is what I'm using in my video, they're going to want to buy in that.
Yeah. So when did you get your first sort of call from a brand saying, oh, we want to use you or want to pay you to place a product on your page? Was it expected? Did you pitch for it or did it just happen? And how did it happen?
One of the things I always tell people, like, you can either just wait for opportunity to come or you can go out for it. So from the start, I've told you I've been doing this for 7 years. So I've always reached out to different brands. I go on LinkedIn, I'm like searching up if a product I like, I search for the company, who's the influencer manager, who's in charge of this. So I was always pitching myself to different brands. But I can't remember the first one I did, but the biggest one that I really enjoyed was Tide. It's a laundry detergent company.
Detergent, yes.
And they really wanted to work with me. And this was like this month, They really want to work with me. So they sent me the product all the way from America to here just to work with me. And because they were like, we love her personality. We love how authentic she is. We love how she can just naturally implement our product into her content. We have to send it to her. I said, thank you. It's good that people are recognizing my talent, you know? So it was really cool. So that's one of the moments I'm like, this is worthwhile. Yeah. That I can work anywhere in the world. I can be in Asia one day, I can be in South America, I can be in America, I can be wherever, and I'm still able to do what I love.
Yeah, you know? I mean, all of this, you're Nigerian.
Yes.
And there's always this perception of Nigerian parents not particularly enjoying non-traditional jobs or, occupations. How's your family taking what you do for a living? And you have like friends who are also content creators and who probably have had issues with convincing family to say, okay, this is what I want to do. And how do they go about it?
Took a while. So my background, let me bust your head. My background is in engineering. I'm an industrial engineer by paper. I actually worked as an industrial engineer. So my parents were so proud. My daughter is an engineer, female engineer, which of course I'm so proud of that. But then when I segmented into content creation, it took them a long time to really realize, like, why are you just pressing your phone, always recording things? What is going on? Until like opportunities like this, I'm on TV. Talking about what I do, what I love, and how I positively impact people's lives. Like when I was growing up, when I was young, I wrote in my diary like, God, you've given us so much talent. Help me to realize what these talents are slowly, and help me to be able to use this to positively impact people and myself. And 5.3 million people follow me. The amount of time I get messages like, I was going through depression, but I watched your videos and it made me laugh. I didn't even realize that I didn't realize the type of impact that I have. And my parents are starting to see that, and they're already in. They love what I do. My dad is always, my daughter has 5.3 million followers. What does your daughter have? That kind of stuff. So it's like, it's a blessing, and...
So, I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, the lockdown happened, it's been really deadly, lots and lots of people have passed away. But content creators, and like I said, TikTok seem to be the one sector where, things thrived through all of that. Was it harder to create content in that time, with the lockdown? And some people are still in lockdown across the world even, was it harder to create content at a time when you couldn't go out and be inspired? Or was it easier because, you had a lot of time to yourself? How did it work?
Yeah, so during the lockdown, I started my NYSC, self-serving, and we were stuck at home at the beginning. So, like you said, as a content creator, you want to be able to get out and, explore new places and get inspiration. But the pandemic forced us to just adapt to what we're going through. So I'll like grab my dad and say, hey dad, there's this TikTok trend, I want you to do it with me. He's like, oh, okay. Just like adapting to your environment and just the pandemic.
Working
with what you have, and that's where authenticity plays a key part, because if you're, for example, you're a very fashionable guy, and if you start to create the content about comedy videos, people are going to be like, Ebuka now, show us for fashion. So if you show us fashion videos, that's what's true to you. That's what really works. And that's what I do with my content. I brought in my mom, like, read these lyrics with your accent. Authenticity is key. So it just helped me be able to realize I can be creative from wherever I am. Just tap into those juices up here, and that's all that matters.
I think that's a very good way to... Authenticity, I think that's a very good word that you use there, so that people know that it doesn't take copying, to be a great...
You're good enough.
What's the page on TikTok?
Drea Knows Best.
Drea Knows Best. Follow her. She's hilarious and she's really good. Thanks a lot for being here today and looking forward to all the great content you're going to be creating.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and be right back.
Say, hey, for your action.
All right, welcome back. It's time for us to talk entertainment. I have here with me what a lot of people have called the breakout star of 2020, 2019, whichever year it is you watched the great movie Living in Bondage, the remake. Jide Kene Achufusi, how are you doing?
I'm good, bro.
Good to see you. I mean, your movie came out 2019, I believe. 2020, you won the AMVCA. Congratulations. And then we went into a lockdown. Everybody, you couldn't now enjoy, Was that painful for you, seeing that, I mean, you had just, come into the space and then you couldn't particularly live the life of, this new life that you had just acquired?
Well, I had a couple of interviews lined up for a start and for, publicity and all of that, but I'm thankful, because one thing I was able to take away from being locked down is patience. It gave me the opportunity to think through a lot of things, things I wanted to just jump into, let's get it, but it allowed me to relax more, have a general overview of what the industry is like at a different level. So yeah, it was a good time for reflection and looking inward. So in as much as I missed up, what I could have been able to achieve over that period of time, but grateful for life.
Yeah, because you also use it to build.
Exactly.
And a lot of people think that's your first movie, but it's not. You have been in the industry for quite a bit. When did you start?
Professionally, 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, professionally, but we've been doing the whole trying to get a contact of somebody in the real industry. I'm the first person in the arts in my entire family, so it was not on the back of anybody. We know anybody, So 2013 till now, it's been a journey. Recently I had a movie come out on Netflix, Black Rose, that we made in 2015. So it's amazing, just looking back and seeing that, oh, boy has been good.
Yeah.
Just a matter of the right time and the right platform to be able to expand.
You were living in Enugu.
Yes.
Did you have to move here?
After living in Bondage, yes.
Yeah. So Enugu is also sort of a thriving space for movies. Why did you feel the need to move? Does Lagos have to be the place where it happens? Because we hear Enugu a lot. We hear Asaba sometimes. We'll hear about Kano. But everybody always seems to say, okay, you have to sort of be here to, make it as big as you'd like to.
So the easiest way to explain that is, for example, if groundnut grows in Kano, but the products that you get to make from groundnut, let's assume maybe some drink or whatever, the processing plants, the places where there's the power, the money power, the publicity power, the television channels, the interviews. You wouldn't come to Enugu to interview me, So yeah, Enugu is great for churning out and producing talents, but Lagos is the hub. Lagos is where you're most likely to run into a South African filmmaker or an Indian filmmaker or an American or a British filmmaker. The chances, the odds, it's better here. That's the reason why people move here, that's all. But if we're able to, create more whatever industries or meetings, instead of all the headquarters to be in Lagos, if some international companies decide to come settle in Soka, somewhere beautiful, somewhere on the hill, people wouldn't really need to come all the way
So
down.
you don't think that's a good thing? The fact that everything is here?
Well, there's New York, there's LA, that's the problem we have in Nigeria. We don't have 2 points. We don't have places that we know, if you want to make a film, go to Atlanta, but if you want to, do the Beverly Hill lifestyle, you go to LA and stuff. So I think Lagos is everything, and it's not so good because we're not looking for anything unfortunate to happen, but at some point saturation leads to everybody moving in uniform lines, So sometimes when you see a film that come from an Enugu filmmaker, it's usually quite different, in terms of how they understand or how they want to tell a story. So most times, I think diversity is better.
Yeah. Let's talk about Living in Bondage now. I know you've had tons of interviews about Living in Bondage, tons and tons of them. But I just asked that because I remember, when the talk about the remake had started, a lot of us had very, emotional attachments, to this original, movie that came out in 1993, I believe. And there was a call for people to submit videos or something along those lines. What made you do it?
Well, being someone who has come from Enugu several times by road to Lagos to audition for different platforms, different auditions from Ebony Live to Tinsel and the rest of them, I didn't want to do it, to be honest, because I felt like deja vu all over again. So I didn't want to do it, but eventually I got a call and they said that I matched the physical description of who they were looking for. So it was more or less a special invitation to submit a video. At that point, I thought, okay, yes, now I can do this. And to be honest, it wasn't different from the same amount of pressure when making the video. Are they going to like it? Is it good enough? Yeah, went through exactly the same thing everybody else went through. Because even after I submitted the video, I still had to physically audition with the director when they came to town, because they actually did like a nationwide tour looking for the talent that they needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know about anybody else who was almost getting the role?
Well, I had names, really big names, to be honest. I had names like our Igbo brothers who were doing so well, people I look up to. I had a lot of names, and in my mind, I don't know if I believed, but I know that I was giving it 110. Yeah, 110%. And somewhere, somehow, a little birdie did say that they didn't want anybody popular. So I'm like, okay,
maybe
let's see how this goes. Yeah.
So that was a blessing in disguise for you.
Exactly.
That you hadn't blown before that.
I hadn't moved to Lagos before that. Because if I had moved to Lagos, one way or the other, they would know you. The biggest problem we have in Hollywood is stereotyping. If it's ghetto movies that's going now, everybody will go into ghetto movies. It's love or comedy. Let's go. We don't really do, okay, we have a plan or we have a structure, let's see what it's all about the money, So if I had come to Lagos before the time I did, I would probably have done one role so well, and everybody else will put me on that kind of role. And that usually is the case when we look at most veteran actors. We usually don't have anybody who has done a lot of things. It's either you have been doing Richard Money, staying Richard Money. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So many names just came to mind now, so that's why I'm giggling. But,
okay.
So you did the movie, of course, got nominated for an AMVCA for Best Actor. Ended up winning the Trailblazer Award. Congratulations on that. Were you surprised at how, did you know you did that well when you were doing it?
To be honest.
Or when you watched it? When did you feel like, okay, yes, I killed this thing? Or was it feedback from people?
I would say that it started from when we were filming. There's one day my producer was like, superstar. And then the other producer was like, don't tell him that. So in that moment, I was like, okay, these guys, they watch the rushes.
Yeah,
when I was in school, if I write exams, I'm not the kind of student that comes out to check if I have failed or if I have failed a particular question. Some people do that. They'll pick up their book immediately. So I never really want to go and watch the rushes or what we have shot, except they have invited me to come and look at it. So to be honest, the vibe really did dawn on me at the premiere, after the movie had finished and everybody, people I have known or I had known and I looked up to wanted to get a handshake or a photograph and stuff. Yeah, that was when people were like, oh, we want to sign you, want to talk to you about this. That's when I was like, okay, hold on. I think I did it, Yeah, because you never really want to have that in the back of your mind while filming. That always never works out well, because, if I've done 10 films before living in bondage, I always believed that I put in 150 and that something was going to come from them. But, it was never really the case.
I agree with you, because I saw Black Rose recently and I was like, okay, this movie is not even, it's 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And, as much as you were not the lead character, but, you still did an amazing job. But is there now more pressure on you? So you're this living in bondage guy who did excellently now. So you come to, you did Kambili. Was Kambili before or after that?
After that, yeah.
After that. So you've been called out to do other roles. Is there now more pressure you feel to say, okay, I have to always at least do this great?
Well, the real pressure actually happens in my DM, to be honest, yeah. Some people would send you voice recordings where their dad would speak, their mother would speak, their sister would speak, because it's a story that really touched family stories and, family lives. And when you hear an entire family even send you a video and just say, please, you are the best thing that happened to Nollywood, don't ever stop, don't ever go below this, you begin to realize that, okay, hold on. In as much as you are passionate about this, and as an Enugu boy, I've gotten used to making films out of passion, to be honest. There's no money in the industry. Oh, please, you have a great script, let's do this. So the pressure now is to keep flying high. You know, just like somebody who has gone through a lot and then become rich, your biggest fear will be to start afresh, you know. But like they always say, if you know what you're doing, you're not going to be afraid to start afresh, you know. So I look at every day as an opportunity to make better on what living in bondage has already offered. But my biggest concern is with the quality. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but let me just say the type of scripts that have been offered now. So now I have to choose, okay, I think people have seen me in this capacity, and because I think I'm a versatile actor, I want to try comedy, I want to try other things, you know, so instead of just steeped in drama or, you know, something like that. So most times, like I said about stereotyping, they you know, your frame or your size would also be considered when, you know, letting you do a particular role. I remember Black Rose, I had to play 2 scenes or 1 scene in a movie in 2012 to be able to convince the director that I could actually work or pass for a mechanic. Because he was like, no, you're too fresh for this. You can't be a mechanic. I'm like, just give it to me. You understand? So if you've seen Black Rose, you would know that, you know, I did my best at the time. I was a professional model then, you know, to make sure that I looked the part, you know. So, yeah, the biggest problem now is what you're being offered. And you can't keep saying no for a long time because the fans don't really know that, oh, you've been getting scripts and you're not taking them.
They just wonder, where are you?
That's all they know. You know, where has he been? Oh, you don't come out for the limelight. You know, so you also need to take some jobs for the sake of relevance. You know, so we're getting to the place, or our industry is gradually moving towards a direction where eventually we'll become comfortable enough to do one job in 5 years.
How far away do you think we are there? Because you say you take some things for relevance, or I want to talk about money now, because you've mentioned it here. Even, you know, you will do things in Enugu just for the passion. I know people here who say they have to do so many movies so that they can keep up, because they pay for one movie can sustain you. So how is that going? You know, you are now an actor, full-time actor. You're in Lagos. I mean, Lagos life is definitely more expensive than the Enugu life.
Yes.
So money has to come into the conversation. The Nollywood pay, is it a valid conversation for you as well, where, you know, you feel like things are really not as good as they should be?
Well, to be honest, from where I've come from, I'm pretty comfortable, but you can't dwell on your past. So you have to focus on what you're able to achieve moving forward. So having said that, I like to also not just be the pretty face on TV. I like to do the mathematics and do the film business. So taking some classes, lectures, asking questions, reading materials will tell you that I think 77 cinemas in Nigeria, maybe right about that number. So 77 cinemas as compared to 50-something thousand cinemas in either India or USA. You're going to see that we're not making the amount of money we ought to be making. You know, we're still struggling to hit 1 billion naira. And if you convert 1 billion naira to, in the cinemas, I mean, if you convert that to dollars, you see that we're not really scratching what our, you know, other colleagues are doing. And do we have the audience or the number of people? We do, but we just don't have the right strategy yet to position cinemas, especially community cinemas. In India, every street has one cinema, you know, so we don't have that wherewithal yet to be able to establish what we need to be able to make sure that we are seeing the money that we are asking for. So I just don't want to be the actor on Twitter who's saying, oh, pay us better or do this, you know, carrying. Yeah, I want to be able to understand why isn't there enough money out there? So the honest truth is there's not, because there's not enough cinemas, there's not enough revenue, there's not enough conversations around the fact that actors have to step up and stop being pretty faces on the screen. Get involved, produce something, contribute something. You know, so most actors have to lay back and depend on being influencers to be able to make ends meet. You know, but generally, you know, movies should be able to lead actors or people who have gotten to a certain level in industry should be able to make a lot more than they are making right now.
Do you think a lot of people understand this, though? A lot of your colleagues understand the fact that the money conversation is a certain way because of the way things are set up?
Not everybody understands that part of the conversation, because if you read the articles, you know, most of us just like to watch videos, you know, but if you actually do read the numbers, statistics, you would see that at the end of the day, the amount of money that distributors take and the one that the cinemas take, if, for example, a movie makes 100 million in the cinemas and the cinema takes 40% and distributors take maybe 10, 15, 20, depending on what the conversation is, sometimes cinemas will take up to 60, and the producer is left with 35% or 40% of what you've heard in the cinemas. That 40%, he still has investors to pay back. And by the time he's done paying back, what's the take home for all the work that you have done? You understand, to be able to prepare yourself for the next project. So numbers don't add up yet.
Do you think the industry is doing enough, though, to sort of surmount this? Where I'm talking actively, there's a lot of guilds, that exist. There's people who have been in the industry for decades now. Do you think there's a conscious effort, to actually invest, even from governments? Even do you find that things are looking in the right direction? Because 77 cinema rooms in 2021 is more than a little. It's not where we should be. Yeah. Do you find that we're heading somewhere?
The guilds are not working. First of all, to put that out there, you're not working because, it's very far away, a dream of mine, to be able to be at the helm of affairs or to be able to govern things or to be able to advise whoever is governing things with guilds. Yeah. I think, first of all, before guilds ask you to register and to spend money and to be with them, I think, first of all, what they need to do is to show you that they can cater for you, they can care for you.
There's a benefit to you.
Yeah, so structure, that's what's missing. Structure is what says that you're not just going to go to your house and make a film and come out and sell. Because at the end of the day, when somebody makes a great film, and he says, I'm not going to sell this film for anything below 100 million. And that person says, don't mind that guy, come and take for 5 million. That's the problem we're having. We were talking about piracy for a long time. That's what killed the DVD industry, And now that the DVDs has phased out, no such machines in the supermarkets anymore, we are now forced to look back at the cinema industry that we refuse to foster all the while. And in that same space, we have movies that ought not to be in the cinemas, making it to the cinemas for certain reasons that I don't have the experience or the clearance to discuss as to why. But I believe that government isn't helping enough. At least last year, the governor of Lagos State was able to stop the regulation that was going to take 10% of anything anybody makes, and that's great progress. But we'd love to see more. We'd love to see multinationals invest. We'd love to see. We have Nigerians, rich Nigerians, who have studios in LA, and we don't have a single movie village in the entire country. For a country that boasts the most number of films produced in a year as the highest industry, above US and India, I'd like to think that we should have at least 10 of those kind of movie villages. Instead of people to spend money in Lagos traffic, moving from one location to another, they can actually settle down in one place and make a better film. So that's part of the problem.
Nollywood conversations always fascinate me, and we could go on and on today. But let's just round up what you're talking about. 2021, what should we be looking forward to with you, your brand, and what's coming?
I'm working on a couple of projects for 2021. There's Lockdown with Moses Iwang. There's some other ones that are still, under the table, conversing. I'm not an easy person to convince anyways, because I like to think that I bring a lot of things to the table. So I also am working on a project of my own. I'm looking to collaborate because...
Producing?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So because I'm hoping, I know that the secret, part of the reason why we're not making so much progress in this industry in terms of revenue is lack of collaboration. There's always almost either one production house and one person putting money together. But when you watch American movies and you see the list of executive producers, you can tell that a lot of money was pumped into that. So I'm hoping to create something soon, or hopefully I can talk about it soon when I'm able to. Yeah, but maybe I'm looking to. There's no content for kids. There's no content for middle-aged students, high school, so college. So I'm hoping to create content around what's missing.
Looking forward to that. Thank you very much, Jide Kenneth, for being here today. More greatness, more money, even if you're not particularly conscious of that, but please, we need to make that money.
We do. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take another break and be right back. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Something that's not very talked about, especially in this part of the world, is mental health. And I think it's very important in these times. A lot of us have been either in lockdown or in isolation or just got away from people we love for over a year now. And I have here with me Amanda Iheme, who's a psychotherapist. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And I think I want to start on that now because 2020, 2021 has been quite the year for a lot of people. I know people who have talked about going through so much. People who tend to lean on others, when they need sort of, just to offload on things. How should people cope in a time like this? Now, I know, therapy is always great, but not everybody can have access to a therapist in a time like this. Either you're sick or you're just trying to avoid people. What sorts of things should people be thinking about, in a time like this?
I think that one thing that we as Nigerians specifically need to do during this time is a lot of introspection. When I was watching the previous interview before this, he mentioned something about how during the lockdown he had the time to sit back and reflect on some of the decisions he was about to make, about the jobs he was taking in, the actor who was on before me. And that's something that was necessary for us to do during the pandemic. And it's still necessary now to sit back, take a break, take a breather, and assess the different parts of our lives, our family relationships, our friendships, our career choices, our educational path. Some of the things and expectations that we had of ourselves 2019 and even 2020 have changed because the path we're walking on is very different now because of the way the world is. So it's necessary. The first thing to do is to sit and introspect, which is usually the hardest thing to do, but the most important. So apart from introspection, it's also picking up very healthy habits. The first thing to do is to make sure your physical health is good. Are you exercising regularly? Are you eating healthy, nutritious meals? Are you going for your regular checkups? And are you drinking enough water and getting enough sleep? Because these things on their own, when you're deficient, can affect your mental health as well. So when you take care of your physical health, you're doing your introspection, it's now for you to now inculcate some other healthier habits that are good for your mental health, like journaling, like comforting people and having difficult conversations that you would much rather, push to the side, talk to them about the things that you're going through, try to fix your relationships, figure out what kinds of people you want to have in your life, define your own personal value system that you want to use to guide you through your own world. Take on habits like meditation, doing yoga, breathing exercises, and also like writing as well, like I said, journaling before.
So we live in a country where people still don't take mental health very seriously. I mean, even for a young demographic, because I see things on Twitter sometimes from people who you would think, are in an age where they should be more aware. Someone talks about depression, and people are saying, "Oh, I better go and hang out with people or something." Or someone has a conversation about suicide, and they're laughed at. "Oh, are you that's tired of life?" What can we do to elevate the conversation here? And I'm talking for a lot of just the average Nigerian to understand the importance of mental health.
Education. People who say things like that, like when you're depressed, or just, go and sleep, eat food, it's ignorance, really. They don't know. They liken mental illnesses like depression or anxiety to just everyday emotions. Because when you think about it, depression, the major symptom is sadness, persistent sadness. And sadness is a normal human experience. So when a person tells you that they're sad, you just think like it's just a normal sadness that you have or proper melancholy. But it's not. It's deeper than that. And sometimes these mental illnesses, especially like depression, you wouldn't understand the depth of it until you actually experience it for yourself. That's when you realize that it's not one of those kinds of sadness that you can easily wake out of or just, drink water and feel better or hang out with your friends and forget about it. It's persistent and affects your ability to function well in different parts of your life. So it's ignorance that causes people to say some of the things that they say. And if we want people to understand, there needs to be more conversation, more information out there. The same way we'll tell people about COVID-19, how to take care of yourself, wear a mask, sanitize your hand. It's the same way we need to talk about mental health and mental illnesses to let people know. If they know the number of people who say these ignorant things, it would reduce because now they know better and they know even how to respond when a person tells them that I'm feeling suicidal, there's no meaning or purpose in life for me to live any longer, I want to take my life. They know what to say and what not to say. So it's just mental awareness and education of the people.
Does where you live, can it affect your mental health? There are people who say, in the rural areas, you're not with a lot of people, so maybe there's not even enough people to lean on. But there are people who say places like Lagos, even just the rush of Lagos is a lot.
Yes, it is.
So a place like Lagos could affect your mental health. And how do you sort of thrive in a place like that? Living in a city like this where you have to work and not, being mentally healthy.
Someone asked me a quick question like this as well in relation to my job. Like, how do you stay sane in a place space that's insane, especially as a therapist. And what I told them was that I try as much as possible to make my own space a place of peace. So when you have to go out and deal with the things out of your control, work, traffic, crazy driver on the road, someone yelling at you, your boss, your colleagues, school work, when you have to deal with all these external factors, when you come back home, do you come back home to peace? Do you come back home to a place where you can offload, and ground yourself, where you can take strolls and feel safe and talk to your family members and your friends about these are the things I'm going through, how my day was? Do you have that? So if you want to stay sane in an insane place, it's to look at the place that is within your control, your own immediate environment. It's not so much about, I need to change Lagos. It's, I need to change the space around me to make it healthier and safer for me to existing, so that when I'm done dealing with all the craziness outside and I come home, I know how to rejuvenate myself. And also have your own healthy lifestyle routine. You're taking care of yourself and you're being conscious and disciplined with it. Yeah. If you do that, if you do what you are responsible for, you would be able to cope. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be 100%, your life is going to be phenomenally great, because you still have to go out and these things will definitely affect you.
But it has to be a balance.
Yes, there has to be a balance. So when you deal with the craziness, have a place to go home to that's safe and peaceful.
I know you're a big advocate of therapy.
Very big.
But a lot of Nigerians are not. Most people don't even think they need therapy.
Some
people think therapy is a sign of weakness. You know, how can someone be solving my problems? Why do I need a therapist?
Yeah.
Some people are scared of therapy because they don't want to find out or confront whatever it is. How do we cross that, as people, to say, okay, this is actually okay? It's like going to see a doctor.
Yeah, it's down to the same thing, education. If you don't know, you would not be able to do anything. If you continue to live in that same state of ignorance. So if we talk more, like here, I'm on channels now, I'm talking, right? People are watching me and now knowing that therapy is safe.
Does everybody need therapy?
Everyone. I have a therapist.
But you're a therapist.
Yeah, I have a therapist and I go to therapy. In the Catholic Church, priests go for confession to other priests as well. So I'm not a superhero. And that's another misconception that people have about therapy, is that you're coming in for me to save you. I'm not your hero. I'm not saving you. I'm guiding you.
So are you saying if I feel mentally healthy, I still need therapy?
You can come to therapy. It's the same way with your physical health. You may be physically healthy, but you still go for general checkups because, there are some things that you don't know may be happening in your body that is happening. Maybe your cholesterol is going up, high blood pressure or low blood pressure. There are some things that you need to check to just be sure that, okay, everything is fine. So I do have clients who, after they come in first with the major disorder, after treatment, their therapy sessions become once a month. They just want to check in, like, oh, am I okay? And what we do for that hour is let's talk about family. How is that going? Let's talk about friendships. How's that going? There are some things that happen in your life, very little things that you just think, oh, let me just leave that one on the side. You wouldn't want to talk about it. Yeah, it's there. You can't confront it. But when you come to therapy, you will confront it, because I will help you, guide you to that path of, this is a problem that you need to address, and let's think about the ways we can address the issue. So everyone needs to come for therapy. Once in a while, just come and get a check-in to be sure that you're okay.
We have to continue this conversation because I'm actually very fascinated and I have so many questions, but unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you very much, Amanda, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And continue doing the great work you do, because a lot of people need you.
I will. Thank you very much.
But like I always say, you can follow the conversation on Twitter at Rubbin Minds now is the handle. Please use the hashtag Rubbin Minds when you tweet at us. Don't forget, socially distance, wear a mask, and please sit at home if you don't have anywhere to be. I'll see you next Sunday.